Hi, I'm Patrick Ebner from Ebner Family Law, Lake County, Ohio, domestic and estate planning and probate attorney. And today is the first installment in a web series that I am calling Tuesdays with Boring. And it's a joke, but some of the things I want to go over here are some of the most important documents, both in the family law area and estate planning. And I want to go through and give some information to people that may be helpful. And so the first thing we're going to talk about today here is the State of Ohio Living Will Declaration. And I have the form. This is an essential form. I tell all my clients that. But it's also readily available. You could go on to any number of websites and download it. But the first thing I want to caution anybody is, if you are downloading this form and you want to do it yourself, make sure that you have the most recent document. This was redone. There were some changes in the law around 2010, and I see it all the time when I'm reviewing people's documents. They have an old version, and you really want to make sure you have the most up-to-date one. So the one I have here today, I actually printed off of the Ohio Hospital Association website, and this is from August of 2016. So you want to make sure that you have one that's dated, if you are using a form, at least after 2010. So, well, before I dive into the form, so the first thing is make sure you have the most up-to-date form. The second thing is it's got to be executed correctly. If it's not executed correctly, then it's no good and it's not going to do you, it's not going to be legally binding. And we'll get to that part at the end. So the first page, as you can see here, is the Ohio Living Will Declaration. And what is a living will? People confuse a living will with the last will and testament, and obviously they have very similar names. A living will is a very specific document that is stating your intention should you end up in a situation where you would basically understand to be that you're a vegetable. So you have no more brain function, you're permanently unconscious, your doctor and another doctor has said that this is permanent, you're never coming out of it, and beyond that, artificially supplied nutrition and hydration are not providing you any comfort. So if you're in that situation, this document indicates your desire for them to withdraw the artificial nutrition and hydration, or better commonly called, pull the plug. So it's obviously not something a lot of people want to think about, but the most important thing, and I tell all my clients this, is there's no right or wrong answer. There's no correct way to answer this question. The only thing that is wrong is to not have this form done one way or another, because you don't want your spouse or your children to have to make this gut-wrenching decision for you. So do it and just let your wishes be known. So the document starts off very simple. Fill in your name and your date of birth. The next couple of pages are definitions that the Ohio Revised Code has set out. It's very important to read through them. I'm not going to do that all here, but read through them all so that you understand what you're filling out and what the terms actually mean. On page 4, it asks whether or not you completed a healthcare power of attorney. So you either check yes or no, and I'll get into that in another episode of Tuesdays with Boring. Then you are going to let them know, them being the physicians or the doctor or the hospital where you're at, who they should contact if you're in an emergency. So this is not giving anybody any kind of power, unlike your healthcare power of attorney or your financial power of attorney. This is simply notifying, name and relationship. Maybe this is not as relevant in 2021, where everybody has their cell phone and you can press a button and your in case of emergency will show up. However, we don't know what circumstances might occur, where your phone might be, what kind of car accident. There's millions of terrible situations that we could contemplate, but the fact of the matter is, if this is in your medical charts and records, they're going to be able to get a hold of one of your loved ones and let you know what's going on. So that's the section where you do that. Here's the key to the entire document here. By placing my initials, signature, check, or other mark in this box, I specifically authorize my physician to withhold, or if treatment has commenced, to withdraw consent to the provision of artificially or technologically supplied nutrition or hydration if I am in a permanently unconscious state and my physician and at least one other physician who has examined me have determined to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that artificially or technologically supplied nutrition and hydration will not provide comfort to me or relieve my pain. So it's kind of what I went over at the beginning. But if you want them to quote unquote pull the plug in that situation, you would put your initials right here in this box or check it. There's a box here for additional instructions. You may have a caveat. You may say, give me a week, or bring the priest in first, or whatever your situation might be. There's a box where you can put specific additional instructions there. The next section Ohio has in here is about organ donation. And they first want to know if you are an organ donor, and if you are an organ donor, whether or not there are specific organs that you would want to. It gets very, very specific in terms of which organs. There's a checkbox. You can either check all organs, tissue, and eyes, or you can kind of go a la carte here and one by one what you may want to donate. So, and then even beneath that, they have for purposes. So you could say all purposes, or for transplantation, or some people will give it for transplant, but not for education or research. Again, no right or wrong answer here, but if you fill this out, it's all in one neat place for the doctors to decide if you're an organ donor, what they could potentially do with your organs. Okay, so then this relatively simple form is done. Okay, but the next thing you got to do is sign it. Now, this is where I was saying at the beginning of the video that how you execute it is as important as anything, because if you don't do it properly, then it's not legally binding. So you have a choice. You can have 2 witnesses, or you can have it notarized. If you have 2 witnesses, it's important to note that the following people cannot be your witness, okay? Your healthcare power of attorney, which is a form I said we'll talk about another time, cannot be a witness. Your guardian of your person or estate, if you have a guardianship situation, they cannot be a witness. An alternate agent or guardian cannot be a witness. So even if they're not a guardian or an agent, but they're in your will or your power of attorney as an alternate, they can't be a witness. Anybody related to you by blood, marriage, or adoption, for example, your spouse and children, again, cannot be a witness. Your doctor, attending physician, cannot be a witness, and neither can the administrator of a nursing home where you're receiving care. But a next door neighbor, somebody at church, somebody at your, at your golf course, somebody on your basketball team, anybody else that's not related to you or falling into those categories could certainly be a witness. But they have to witness you signing it, okay? So you got to gather them up, 2 people, have them watch you sign it, acknowledge that it is your signature and that you're of sound mind and nobody's making you do this. And then after they saw you sign it, they could sign 1 and 2, print their name and date it, and write their addresses. The alternate is, if you have no witnesses, you can have signed in front of a notary. It's one of the things that I do here at Ebner Family Law. I'm a notary. I could notarize this for you. This is part of the estate planning package that I do for my clients, because it's an absolutely essential item. And then that's it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to visit my website, www.ebnerfamilylaw.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thanks. Bye.